you have understood the basics of supply and demand, it is time for me to show you everything about my proven trading strategy. I'm gonna leave no stones unturned whatsoever. Just gonna give you guys the secret sauce for free. Alright, so what happens right here is that first things first, you have to identify the market direction, right? So we have price moving up, pull back, and then goes up even further, right? So this tells us that price is in the uptrend, right? We got a bullish break of structure to the upside right here. All right, so this is your break of structure right there. So I'll mark that up as well. So after a break of structure, what are we expecting price to do? We're expecting price to pull back. And where is price gonna pull back to? Most likely to a demand zone so that more buyers can step into the market and push price up even further. So in this case, let's mark up our demand zones, right? So we know that, okay, there is a demand zone right here because price goes up, started consolidating before going up even further. So if you want to use the range method, you can mark up the entire consolidation from the high to the low of the entire consolidation, just like this, and then just drag it up like that. And then I'll drag it all the way to the left hand side. So this is the range method, but I personally prefer to use the pivot method so that I can get a much more refined entry. So in that case, I'll most likely refine it to like just this pivot candle right here. Okay, cool. So right now we got this demand zone that led to this break of structure, right? So this is considered as a high probability zone. And if we look towards the left hand side, what do we have right here? We got a lot of supply right here. You can see a lot of supply, and if we drag this to the left hand side, what do we have right here? This supply zone caused this demand zone to flip, right? We got a failed reaction right here. Because if this supply zone were to do its job, price will react to this supply zone and then fill up the remaining sell orders and cause price to go down even further. But it failed to do that. Price created a failed reaction right here, giving us a demand zone that caused this supply zone to fail. Right, so this pretty much check off the two criteria that we just mentioned. It led to a break of structure, and it also caused your supply zone to fail. Right, so right now our job is to just wait for price to come back to this demand zone, right? Because right now we are expecting price to pull back to this area right here, and then that is when we can enter for a buy position, right? So in this case, you just do nothing until price eventually come back into this demand zone. Ladies and gents, this is your entry signal. This is where I will actually enter for a buy right here. As you can see, it didn't just mitigate this demand zone, it also swept the available liquidity that we have below these lows right here. Once again, if you don't understand liquidity, you can just go and watch the liquidity concepts course. Yeah, but this gives us an additional confluence that tell us that price is most likely going to respect this demand zone because it has also swept the liquidity over here, which tell us that price is potentially going to move up right now. Smart money is going to come in and push price up. And in this case, I'll place my stop loss below this candlestick wick right here. And then for my take profit, I'll just place my take profit right here at this supply zone that we have right here. You can see there's a huge amount of supply that stepped into the market and caused price to come all the way down there, right? So you can see this is a good 1:3.5 risk to reward, and let's just see how price plays out. You can see ends up hitting our take profit. As simple as that. And then we'll move on to the next trade, right? So now I will just delete this one right here because this zone has been used, and I can mark up my fresh demand zone right here. And you can see this is my pivot demand zone because what happened is that a lot of demand stepped into the market at this point of time, and we can track the source of it, right? The source is basically this pivot candle right here that caused price to create this V-shaped reaction, right? Which tell us that demand stepped into the market, smart money entered for a large amount of buy orders. So we know that there is going to be remaining buy orders yet to be filled within this area right here. So we can expect that price could potentially come down here, tap into this demand zone before going up even further. So I actually want to enter for a buy here again, right? Once price actually come back down to my demand zone, and I'll place my stop loss once again below this demand zone right here, and perhaps target like the next area right here. But you can see it's still quite far away from where price is at right now. So what we can potentially do is to look for short positions at this supply zone right here. You can see price is just blow right past this supply zone, but look at this long wick that price actually created. You could potentially draw more like pivot supply zone right here. If you go down to the 15-minute time frame, you can see right here, this entire thing is actually our pivot supply zone, right? Because at this point of time, lots of supply step into the market and cause price to come crashing down. So we just mark that up as our supply zone. And this is when you can look for your sell opportunity as well. If I were to actually enter for a sell like somewhere right around here, guess what? I will place my take profit at this demand zone right here. And you can see in the end, price just comes crashing down a little bit slowly, but consolidate a little bit, but surely you can see right there. Yeah, man, you can see eventually price come down there and smash our take profit. That was another very easy sell position. Basically, you sell at supply and you buy at demand. And obviously, you need to look for additional confluence like your liquidity and also your market structure, so on and so forth. But this is just a very simple trading strategy that you can try out. Cool, now that we have gotten out of the sell position and we are tapped into our buy position right here. Remember, we entered for a buy at this demand zone right here. We are tapped into it, place our stop loss below this take profit. And now, where should your take profit be at? At this opposing supply zone that we have right here, right? This entire range. Once again, you can mark this entire range up just like this, or you can just refine it to the pivot candle, which would be this one right here, right? So I just mark it up just like this, right? So this would be a very fast trade setup, if I'm not wrong, right there. You can see as simple as that, boom, boom, boom. We just won 3 trades in a row, right? So yeah, this is a very simple trading strategy. You just try to sell at supply, buy at demand. So after we close this trade, next we are looking for our next trading opportunity. So what I can do is to just clear up all the charts, right? Clear out all these supply and demand zones that has already been used, have already been mitigated whatsoever, and mark up your fresh zones. So you can see right here, price push up, pull back around here, starts consolidating before demand step into the market and push price up, right? So this entire thing will be your demand zone. And then right now, we have our supply zone right here. But you can see it has been mitigated, which means price is most likely just gonna blow right past it, which you can see right here. Just completely disregard it whatsoever. Because, once again, price has already mitigated the remaining sell orders right here. So now let's just look at what price does. Right, price start consolidating. Okay, right there, you can see sharp move to the downside, right? Price was consolidating, supply step to the market and push price down. So we can mark this entire supply range up once again, right? So this will be your supply zone, right? This is the range method, and then the pivot method will be you refining it to this pivot candle right here. Okay, cool. So remember our demand zone that we have marked up right here. You could potentially look for long positions right here. Right, place your stop loss below these lows, below this demand zone, and place your take profit at this little zone that we have right here. Now, before I miss it out, right, you can see there's actually another demand zone right here. Right here, price goes up, pulls back, and then goes up even further. Demand step to the market and push price up. Right, so this is also another demand zone. So let's just mark that out as our next demand zone. Once again, how do we know which zone is price gonna respect? Is price gonna respect this one or this one? The truth is, I don't know, right? I don't have a crystal ball that tell me exactly which zone price is gonna go. I'm not a fortune teller or a mind reader, all right? I don't have telepathy or some shit, right? So you just have to understand that you need to react to what the market does. If the market wants to go up at this area, then enter at this zone. If the market wants to go up at this zone, then enter at this zone. Right? React to the market, be flexible, be like water, my friend. So in this case, let's continue to observe what price does, right? You can see price consolidate here a little bit, and then it seems like this demand zone is actually getting respected, right? Because if price wanted to come down to this extreme demand zone, it will just break right past it and comes down here, tap into this demand zone, and then goes up. In this case, it seems like this demand zone is being respected. So, yep, you can enter for a buy here if you want. Yep, you can see eventually price goes up and potentially hit this supply zone. Boom, there we have it. You can see, very easy setup. You can easily enter for a buy right here. But for me, I'm just gonna wait to actually enter for a sell at this supply zone. Right, so I'll just place a sell order right here, right? Actually, I would have been already tapped in right here. But let's say I did not got tapped in the first time round, right? So I'm looking for my next entry the second time round right here. So I can see there's a new supply zone being formed right here, right? So in this case, you can either enter at this extreme supply zone, which I will advise you to do so, or you can actually enter at this near zone. But the thing about this extreme zone is that it has been mitigated right here, which means the sell orders that has already been filled, right? The remaining sell orders right here. But this does not mean that price will not come up here again. Price could potentially come up here again and then go down even further, because there could potentially still be like, what, 1/4 of sell orders left within this supply zone, right? So we always react to what the market does, right? So let's see. You can see price step into this extreme supply zone, supply step into the market, easily entered for a sell position right here, place your stop loss above this supply zone, and this time around you can target this near demand zone that we have right here. So it will be this demand zone right here. You can see, because this is the pivot candle that led to demand step into the market and causing price to move up, right? So yeah, once again, this will be a very, very easy trade setup. You can see price in the end come down here, tap into our demand zone, and we got out of the trade, right? So very simple. always place your stop loss above a supply zone or below a demand zone if you're entering for a buy position, and then place your take profit at the opposing zone. So if you're entering for a sell at a supply zone, place your take profit at the next demand zone. And if you're entering for a buy at a demand zone, place your take profit at the nearest supply zone. As simple as that. And you can see price actually end up coming down to our extreme demand zone right here before price could potentially completely bypass it, right? So you can see this was a very good short position right there, and this is why it is so important for you guys to not just understand supply and demand, but also understand market structure. Because when you understand market structure, you will know exactly why the supply and demand zone actually failed. It's because at this point of time, supply has took control of the market. The sellers are winning.
आज
So
छत पर
it's
गए तो
very
ले ले जा तो
important for you to really combine market structure and supply and demand.